Hello everyone and welcome to the next episode of the MTA Scripting School. In today's episode we're going to talk about dxDrawText, which is quite a complex function. As you can see, we have many arguments, and we're going to talk about every single argument as soon as I took it. Okay, we're going to talk about every single argument in here. Well, at least the most important ones, meaning that we will go to the rotation, but we will ignore these two because I myself haven't used them yet, and I don't think I will anytime soon. So, as you can see, let's just start by making a simple text on the top left of our screen. That means that we have to type in dxDrawText, then our text in these thingies as a string, you know. Let's say hello world, and now we have to type in the, as you can see, the top left position. So first of all, the top left position, we will choose 0 and 0 on both because we want it to be on the most top left. And if we would go in game now and start draw, then you can see on the top left there's our hello world. Tiny, sexy, and yeah. Now, what if we wanted to make, if we want to make it stay on the top right or the bottom right or anything like that? That's the easiest part. We just type in as X and as Y because its start position is the top left, the 0, 0, the origin point, and ending position is the most right and the most bottom. So, and as you can see now, we have a color argument to come, we have a scale argument to come, we have font argument to come, a line X and a line Y, and then all these things after that. So, what we need now is a color, which we will produce with the toColor function, just like we did before. Let's do RGB so we can change the color on runtime. Yeah, you know what the color does? It puts an RGB string into a hex code, I think, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, now we need the scale, which can optionally be 2 floats going for scale X and scale Y. The scale is actually the size of the font, not the whole text. Like if you type in 1, if you have a scale of 1, you know what? I'm just gonna show you. The text at the moment is on scale 1, as you can see. Oops. Okay, I forgot something. Yeah. Our text is at the moment on scale 1, as you can see. And let's first make our text white. Now let's see what happens if we change the scale to 2. As you can see, the text gets bigger in width and height. That is because every single letter will be twice the normal amount of its size, and that is quite nice. But what would happen if our screen resolution is now 800 by 600? As you can see, the text is still the same size, same position, same everything. Meaning that for scale we need also a relative thingy to make it the same size on every screen resolution. Now there are multiple ways of doing that. My favorite way of doing that is by doing this, right? Okay. We have our scale X and our scale Y. Let's do that in 2 steps. scale x is sx divided by our screen resolution, which is 1920 in width for me and 1080 in height for me. And what I could do now is type in scale y times 2, because now scale y, if you see that, if I would have 800 by 600, 600 by 1080, that would be 0.5, and then it would do 0.5 times 2, and that would be 1 for the resolution of 800 by 600, but for us it would still be 2. So now if we would, for example, learn game, restart draw, it still has the same size, but if I now have a screen resolution of 800 by 600, then as you can see the text gets smaller, but it only appears to be smaller on my screen at the moment. On the screen of 800 by 600 it will look exactly the correct size corresponding to the resolution. So yeah, another way of doing this is by typing in this scale equals now sx by 1020. This is why, here we go, put that in brackets, and now we can just type in scale, but as you can see now, that still is perfect. And now if we change it to 800 by 600, it will still be in the same size as before, if I am not completely wrong. Let's actually see if I am completely, no. As you can see, the size already changed a bit. That is because, as you can see, here we add the x scale and the y scale and divide it by 2, because these two values will respond with anything between 0.0001 to a very big number. And then we divide them by 2, because normally if both would be of the same size, so 1 and 1, and if we would divide it by 2, we would still have this scale of 1, which would be perfect. But yeah, that is basically a good way of drawing text as perfect in every resolution. So yeah, but what I most often do is just typing in scale y instead of the scale that I have there. Why? Because I just like it that way. It's possible in both ways, and I think even doing the scale way might even look better. I have not tested that myself yet. I think I'll do that soon. But yeah, let's stay with scale in the videos. So now we have our scale for the text scale, and now what comes next? As we can see on the wiki, we now have our scale. Now comes the font. Now we have many default fonts that we can use, but we can also use a custom font. First of all, let's change the font to price down, BGGA theme. Let's now start to run. As you can see, this text got big in seconds, and it now has another font, which looks beautiful. But what happens if we want to add our own font to the text? What's the writing? Let's search some fonts. The font. Let's go. Let's take this one. Jigweed titling. Download it. And always check if you somehow get money with the script you make. Always check if the fonts allow commercial use for free, because if you're selling your script and the font is included in it, then you're also selling the font with your script, and you did not make the font most likely. So always check if you can use it for commercial use if you're going to sell your scripts. But generally don't do that. Selling your scripts is just I don't like that. Only on some cases it's a good idea. Okay, read this, fuck that, we won't need that now because Most likely this is just something, thanks for installation. And now you can see allowed, what we can do with it, not allowed. And now we could, for example, it's easy to get a different list and read this page, and then we could talk with him and ask if we could use his font for our stuff. And yeah, so now let's rename the font to our, let's rename the text font. Let's go into the meta, because we need to type our font into the meta now. File source is our font, so text font.ttf. And now we have to create our font, and that we can do that with, let me see, do we get linked to the correct? No, here we go, dxCreateFont. Okay, so as you can see, there's a function called dxCreateFont, which requires the file path, then two optional arguments, which would be size and bold. So let's create our font. We do that by typing in local custom font, or whatever you want to call it, equals dxCreateFont, and then our path, and then the size, let's keep that to normal and let's not make it bold yet. And now we can, instead of price down, write custom font, as you can see. Now series.draw, and now as you can see, it always looks ugly. Already looks ugly. That is because we have to change the font size in our dxCreate font, because the font is made for larger stuff, most likely. This changes from font to font. So yeah, let's do that. I need a good number. Let's do 42 and see how big that is. Okay, so as you can see, this is one, that's a big font. But it's not that, it's not how the quality of the font is not that good, as I can see at the moment. So as you can see, the font is big now, and now we could now change the scale to 0.5 and experiment a bit with that. And now that looks good on our resolution, and that should be a thing you should keep in mind is that it should look good on the biggest resolution, meaning 1920 by 1080, because that is the most biggest standard resolution. There are bigger resolutions, but they are not that spread at the moment, so you don't have to keep those in mind too much. So yeah, now we have a big text on the top left, and then we change our font, our screen size now. We can see that it will still look good in lower resolution, and that is the thing we want to, that's our goal. We want to let the font, the text, look good in every resolution, so everyone can read it just as good as they need to. So don't forget, you will always lose a bit of quality if the resolution goes down, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem when you do your stuff properly. Okay, so now we have a custom font. What comes now? Actually, let's make our font bold to see the difference. Restart, and as you can see now, basically what bold does is it makes it bigger. Okay, as you can see, I think in this font there's no real difference. No that big difference in this font. It's just a bit taller, not taller, but bigger on the left to the right on the width. So yeah, on thin fonts, professional looking fonts, there is a quite good difference between not bold and bold. You can check that out for yourself if you want to. I won't do it in this video now. So what comes now? Let's close that, and as we can see, now comes a line X and a line Y. So each a line X can be left, center and right, and the line Y can be top, center and bottom. And now let's let's make our text at the bottom right. So we need right and bottom. We now go in game, restart our drawer. As you can see, the text is now on the bottom right because we aligned the text to the bottom right. But how does the script know where everything's ending and everything? We typed that in on the beginning. To make that a bit more clear to you, I'm gonna create a rectangle which starts that, and let's make it color. Oh wait, there you go. 5 and 100. The fourth argument in toColor is the transparency, the alpha, by the way, if you did not know that yet. And now, as you can see, the big white stuff on that I just added is the text field, I would say, where our text can be everywhere, like the bounding boxes, theoretically. So as you can see, the bounding box of our text is on the whole screen. Why? Because we started at 0, 0, and the absolute ending position is the screen width and the screen height, as you can see here and here. So yeah, we could now change that to left on the bottom as example, and now it would be on the bottom left. And it would just align perfectly with every resolution. You don't need to be scared of that. So yeah, that looks good. That is fine. Most likely on most text, if you have some text is not like on some other positions, which we will do in a minute or so, then you will be able to see that our text is when we want it to be somewhere, let's say we want our text to be here, exactly here, then we have to actually type in the correct positions, like the top left, where it starts, where it ends, our bounding box, and then we will most likely type in left and center as the align. So yeah, now after align comes clip, what break, post GUI, and color coded. Now what is clip? Clip is, as it says, if it's set to true, the parts of the text that don't fit within the bounding box will be cut off. As you see, our bounding box is all over the screen, so if something would get cut off, we wouldn't see it anyways. But what happens if we now have this right here? Let's go in game and restart draw, and that was not the thing. Whoops, I wanted to change the X, not the Y. Let's go like that back. Let's put that at 200, our width of the bounding box. And as you can now see, some parts of the text are already out of our bounding box, but we can still see them because clip is set to false. So let's set clip to true. What happens now? And as you can see, now every little detail of the text that is not on the bounding box is now cut off, and we won't be able to see it at all. The next argument is what break. If set to true, the text will wrap to a new line whenever it reaches the right side of the bounding box. If false, the text will always be completely on one line. Let's set that to true, and let's start the text at the top. Restart draw, and as you can see, now instead of breaking the text on the right side of the bounding box, it made a new line, started the text on the next line, and as you can see, it looks like that now, instead of just cutting the text off. The next argument is post GUI. Post GUI meaning is also a bool which says if the text should be drawn on top of in-game GUIs or not. As you can see, if I now open my admin panel and put that above this. It draws behind the text and everything draws behind our admin panel. But if we set the post GUI to, wait a second, let me just see, to true, yeah. And now start. And now, as you can see, our text now draws in front of the MTA GUI. There you go. So yeah, you may need that every now and then. Now the next one is color coded. If you can, as you can see right here, there's a note, meaning the note says clip and word break or false if this is set. So if we now enable color coding on our texts and we start draw, we can see that now it doesn't start a new line, it doesn't do anything, because we now have enabled color coding, meaning that we 1, 2, 3, FF, where are those 6? No, F, there you go. Oh wait, there was 6. Okay, and now as you can see, we can now use color codes on our text. This may be good for a scoreboard, so keep that in mind if you're making a scoreboard, that you can actually color code the texts in dxDrawText. So as you can see, now we can color code our text, but we can use clip and break anymore. So yeah, that is the downside, and I don't think you will need color coded texts too often. At least you shouldn't. Let's put that to false again and that also, and let's remove the color code. So we have one more argument, which is subpixel positioning, which is a bool representing whether the text can be positioned subpixely. Looks nicer for moving, scaling animations. Scaling animations and moving animations, we won't do them right now. We won't do them in this episode. We will do them somewhere else, sometime else. Let's put that to false first, because as you can see, 200 is, well, at about 4th of our map on the top left, bottom left. And now if we set that to true and put the pixel position to 0.5 and this to 0.5, this will not work at all. Now our bounding box is, well, subpixely positioned. It's not very good showable, because yeah, now we can use dots in our position. We would not be able to use them if we would have set the last argument to false, because you know 1 pixel always represents a very, very tiny point on your screen, and if it's subpixely, we can do basically even more pixels, like pixels between pixels. It's a bit complicated if you have no idea about that stuff, but yeah. Now the next argument is the rotation, and the rotation is that rotation. So as you can see, if we rotate the text, and if we have a big bounding box, you can see that the position changes quite a bit, which is not a thing that you would want too often. This only happens with big bounding boxes, not if you have perfect tiny bounding boxes like you should always do. But yeah, we won't need rotation anyways too much. Now let's remove all that. And now one more thing to show. Let's put that to SX again. /n. Hey. And as you can see now, that \n basically means break line. So like it's like this in HTML. If you know HTML, it's basically this. So yeah, you may need that every now and then at some things you might do. So what we are going to do now, we are going to draw our text on the, where should we draw it? We draw it right above our, let's first make the bounding box correct. So yeah, our bounding box, how do we make the bounding box perfect? Like perfect. There is a function for that, which is called dxDrawText. And as you can see, this returns, this needs our text, our scale, our font, and if we color code it, and if it's color coded or not, and then it will return the float, a float of the width of our text. So yeah, let's type that in here, dxDrawText. Now our text, which is hello world, and you know what? Let's actually make a variable for that. Local text width equals dxDrawText width. Now our text, then our scale, and then our font, and color coded to false. But I think that is, yeah, that is standardly set to false, so we just need to do that. It just says standardly. That was poor. Let's now say text width, and as you can see, the bounding box is now the perfect width of our text. And there's one more thing. How do we make the text on the correct height? Yeah, text height. Oh, get font height. Now I think this will be, I think this was scale and, no, I think this was first font and then scale if I'm, no, it's scale and font. So yeah, dxDrawText font, scale times 0.5 and then our font. Now put that there. And now our text is the perfect size. The bounding box is the perfect size. Now what happens if we move that down by 400 pixels? Just as an example. We can see that the bounding box is still on top. How do we fix that? It's very easy. Plus 400. Wait. We also need to change that right here. So on our bounding box, as you can see on dxDrawRectangle, wait a second, I will show you something. On dxDrawRectangle, we have our width and our height. But on dxDrawText, we have the absolute x coordinate of the right side of the bounding box. So we can't use width and height on this one, meaning that we have to type in 400 plus to actually make that work correctly. So now it will work perfectly because we add to our starting position the text height and the y. Sure. I hope this makes somewhat sense. Let's get the top left of our bounding box first. Now 600. Let's get the correct position first. 600, yeah, that's good. And now let's get the correct. No, that's a bit too much up here. No. Sorry for that, my grandma just came in without any warning. So yeah, that seems like not the perfect position, but it should fit for our purposes. So now we need to start with the top left, then we have to type in 100 plus, and we also need to change this. Now this would only fit on my resolution, but as you know, we want to make it fit for all resolutions, meaning that we now have to type to calculate something. So 100 by 1 plus 920, 0.05 SX times 0.05. now we have to do all that with every coordinate, which is kind of annoying. 601 601. Do that for everything. Luckily we don't have to do that for too much stuff right now. Go in the game, restart draw, and there we go. And now that would fit on our resolutions, it would be the same position. By the way, let me just change my resolution for a second, because I want to see something. Because I am not sure if the GTA heads-up display is actually absolute size or relative size, but we will see that every time in every second. And as we can see now, okay, yeah, GTA uses a bit something else calculation for the position and width and everything for the heads-up display. So making something right above the standard radar unit would need some other algorithm for doing that. Let's go back to my sexy resolution. Look, there you go. And let's restart our MTA. God, this takes so long. So yeah, what we're going to do now, we are going to draw the vehicle name on as our text. So we can remove that, we can remove this, but we still have to keep this. Now we have to type in this local vehicle equals get pet occupied vehicle, and then local player, because we are doing this client-sided. Get pet occupied vehicle returns a vehicle if the player is in any vehicle. So if not vehicle, then we don't return anything. We will type in this vehicle equals. Is there? I need to check something. I'm gonna say for a second. Vehicle functions. Maybe it's inside of this, because I am at the moment not sure if there is a function for getting the name of a vehicle. There you go. That should work. Engine get model name from ID. I think this should also work with. I don't know if this works. No, object model. Let's see. We need something else. I don't know if it's actually a working function somewhere. I get vehicle name. There you go. That's the stuff we need. Now we don't need. We need get vehicle name. This function that we will need, because this just needs a vehicle argument, and as we know, we get a vehicle outside of get pet occupied vehicle. So vehicle is equals get vehicle name vehicle or none. So if this returns false or nil, then our bool will be set to none. As you can see, this either returns a string or false. Let's restart our scripts. Oh, I forgot something. We now have to draw the vehicle right here, and we also have to change the text right there. Now let's restart, and there you can see it's actually, you know, we'll keep the font for now. Now let's go inside of this vehicle, this bullet. And as you can see, now our script says we are in a bullet, which is perfect. Let's get out. Now we are in no vehicle anymore. Now let's go onto our Sanchez. There you go. Now we have our text Sanchez. Let's go inside the Banshee if it was what it was called Banshee, I'm not sure at the moment. Yeah. So yeah, this the script works just as we needed. It even works with the monsters. It works with every car, with every boat, with every vehicle in the whole MTA. So yeah, I think this is quite describable, explainable. So yeah, but just for some, if you maybe not get that, local vehicle, meaning that we assign the variable vehicle to something, equals get pet occupied vehicle local player. So this basically returns the vehicle of our local player, which could either be a vehicle or thoughts or near. And now we reassign the vehicle variable to the vehicle name of our vehicle or none, in case we are not in any vehicle. And then we get the text width and text height for the bounding box, and we draw our text. So yeah. But what if we want to make the text now a bit more to the right? That is easy. We just change the x coordinate, like let's do 2, 5. But we also need to change it right here for bounding because of our bounding box. Now you can see we changed the text is now a bit more on the right. So yeah, let's change that to center, because center always looks better, even if we won't see that much of a difference. So yeah, and if we want to put that a bit more to the top, let's change that by 0.3, and now as you can see the text is a bit more on the top of our screen, meaning that everything just worked perfectly. We now have a text that draws on every position we want to. We could also what we also could do is 0, 0, and let me select that as X, as Y, and then we could remove this basically and draw it at the right center of our screen. So it would be on the middle right, or we could draw it directly in the center of our screen. And yeah, that works perfectly, just like we needed. So yeah, but let's do that again because I liked it this way way more. Let me just type in the correct position. There we go, and now we have it. Yeah, okay. So yeah, now you know how to draw texts, how to set the text position. Also, if you have not got it yet, in this video we have used the relative positions, not the absolute positions, because we wanted the text to be on the same position on every screen size and on the same scale on every screen size. So yeah, in the next episode, I have no idea what we're going to do there. We will see. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, I would gladly like it if you press the little like button on the YouTube player. If you have any questions, you can always talk to me on either Skype, on YouTube, on any MTA forum where I'm active on. So yeah, I hope you liked this episode. If not, if you did not like anything, if you did not understood anything, just tell that to me, please, because I will always try to make the content as my content as good as possible to everyone. So yeah, this episode was quite a long episode, 40 minutes, but hey, now you know how to do texts, and that's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see us in the next episode, and bye. I'm pressing stop now.